What's up, zkRacers? So, as you can see, we've done some rebranding as well. We got ourselves our new logo down there as well, intro videos and so on. So, while in the past couple of weeks we've been working with DeRace, helping them with some of the community stuff, as soon as the rebrand came about, we realized we should probably do the same. And so, one of the things that we wanted to do is when we first started the show, didn't realize how serious we were going to be, but here we are after lots and lots of episodes. We figured, screw it, we're going to go ahead and do a cleaner rebrand as well. So the other benefit is AI, and we've been definitely using AI a lot, and I think that's going to become a theme. So we're going to try to introduce some music and some fun stuff as well to make just things more entertaining.
But yeah, we figured that AI makes our life easier, so we're just going to start taking advantage of that.
That's right. All right. So now, but the main part of this whole entire conversation is that for over a year now, we've been talking about wanting to host a derby, so to speak. And the whole entire goal about this was to find out who is the best horse in the game. And as the tournaments came about and we did all of our stuff off the game and played around with that, there was just some difficulty in doing that. The administrative work was just massive. And so with the new tournament structure and the APIs that Christie's has been creating for us, Mr. E has been working very, very diligently building up this whole entire event, and we're so stoked to be unveiling the zkRacers Rally.
Yeah, so the zkRacers Rally is going to be essentially a 4-month tournament of tournaments, right? We're going to put together a series of tournaments, excuse me, that allows us to figure out which of the horses are the best on dirt, followed by which of the horses are best on synthetic, best on turf, and then combining them together in the 4th month of the event to have an ultimate rally. The idea here is that we're going to be using a point scoring system to determine that, but you're going to have to register your horses ahead of time. Mm-hmm. We need to know which of your horses are going to be eligible, which ones you want to submit for each of the separate tournaments. In this case, or events, I should say, in this starting one, we're going to start with dirt in the month of May. What I want to point out before I get to how the leaderboard is going to work and how the points are going to work is that we want to separate the horses between juveniles and veterans. And we've just made an arbitrary cutoff at 1,500 races. The reason why that's important, and when you're considering which of your horses to put in, we understand that with Dirk Army, not sure if they're rebranding that name as well. With the Dirk Army's Unraced Gen 1 tournament, a lot of you will run 500 to 1,000 races in the first couple weeks of that tournament. And so we wanted to make sure that some of those horses that you've discovered in any given month in the future will be able to run in the juvenile section of this particular event. The rally itself will then split the veteran horses out from those juveniles so that we can get winners in each. Now, we're going to show off the leaderboard here in just a minute, but while we prep that, we want to talk about how the scoring is going to work. Right now, we're going to have you pre-register for the event itself. You'll submit a horse ID, you'll pay a fee, that gets you on to the leaderboard. However, you are also going to have to register at the time of the tournaments for 14 separate tournaments. And I know that sounds like a lot of work, but it actually goes pretty quick once you start doing it. You'll take your horse, submit it into tournament 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down. Excuse me, I should say 2 furlongs, then 3 furlongs, then 4 furlongs, all the way down to 15 furlongs. 14 separate tournaments. In each of those tournaments, you're going to have the average best time after 3 races. Right, we're going to have you run 3 times, and you're going to take the average from that. We're going to give it a point score starting at 20 points. Second place would be 19.5, third place 19, etc. And we'll move on down until there's half a point given for that final horse. So essentially, what is that? Roughly 40 horses are going to score points in this event on each of the separate tracks. So I'm going to have you jump in here and load in the leaderboard now. So that we can take a look at an example of what we've been building out.
Yeah, now there's 2 things that I think are really cool about this. One is we're going to be targeting every 5 hours. So when the first race takes place, you're going to see all of the 2 furlongs take place in 5 hours. you'll see all the threes, and then 5 hours later, all the fours. That way, internationally, everybody has a chance to be able to sit down and catch whatever furlongs that they're going to be. These races and these tournaments are going to be just happening around the clock for the whole week. So that way the veterans are done, the juveniles are done, and they'll just be isolated so we could all watch it. This leaderboard, it's going to show you up here in the top right corner when the next race is going to take place, as well as when the next data update is going to take place. So that way, as you check in, you'll know whether or not if the data is showing is correct. The other thing that's awesome about this is that this is only comparing the people that are registered for said events. So if some random people go into the tournaments, they're welcome to, they could win it, and they won't affect this at all. If it will be the first person that appears in the leaderboard that is registered for the rally will take that 20 points. So even if you're the 11th horse, if you're the first in the group of registered horses, you will take 20 points. So that way, if people are scared to go into this event for whatever reason, but they would like to safely just see how good their horse is, they could participate in the rally as kind of like an exhibition. They won't take any of the points, they won't take any score away from the players, but they themselves would be able to see like, hey, this is how good my horse can do over all tracks.
And we've been building this out slowly and doing a lot of testing. That's why you see horses that are actually listed here and some points for the 2, 3, 4, and 5 furlongs. We were testing out how the point scoring would work, as well as updating the data using tournaments that have already run in the past and picking random horse IDs. So this is just a taste, an example of what it might look like as the leaderboard gets updated. But obviously don't take any of this as final numbers. The last thing that I want to say with regard to the leaderboard, and you kind of touched on it, and I want to make sure that we reiterate that when you submit your horse and get on the leaderboard, any of those horses that didn't do that and they don't pay to enter into the larger event itself, the rally itself, if they win, they will still take the portion of the prize money in the 50-30-15 split that zkRace does for all of their typical tournaments. Those individual separate 14 tournaments will all have a 1 Dirk entry fee. That's just the base that zkRace wants us to make sure we do. But yeah, if you enter a horse into that individual tournament and it's not part of the leaderboard, feel free. You can win that tournament if you feel like being involved. And that allows the larger community who's not in this particular event to still take part in all 14 events that we would have running at the same time. So again, the prize money that we're going to talk about here in a minute for each of the rallies is going to be for the people that pre-register for the larger event itself.
Okay. And then how do we go about registering?
Yeah, so let me jump over and show you back on the rally document here. Let's jump over here. Excuse me. We've got a jot form where you're going to be filling out some basic information here. We have a little bit of information at the top in terms of documentation and access. We'll provide these links in the bottom of the video, as well as in the Discord and other places on our socials. And you're going to be just dropping in your username, what you want to be called, because that'll be listed on the leaderboard itself, the horse IDs, and then selecting what experience your horse has. And again, that 1500 race cutoff is, largely important just to separate the horses. If your horse is really close to 1500 races, I just want to point out that it is going to be based on when you register for the individual tournaments themselves. So when you go to register for the 2 furlong tournament, it's going to have a cutoff built into it based on this number. So if you are at 1,499 races, you better stop running if you don't want to have that included and push you over into the next one. Your selection of the horse's experience, juvenile and or veteran, will determine which leaderboard it shows up on. We have a separate one for each of those classifications. We then want to know how many horses you've actually registered, and this portion will automatically update. It is $20 to register each of the horses. That's USDC, ideally on the Polygon chain if you can. It'll automatically calculate that number. So if I said there was 5 horses I registered, it'll give you that number, make your payments to our wallet, and drop in your hash and your wallet address so we can confirm. That's as easy as it is. Most of you are familiar with how that works. But let's jump back over to this form as well, or this document.
Okay.
So the next thing is, I wanted to just point out that we have in the documentation a basic structure for your schedule. May is going to be dirt. It's then going to be followed by June, July, and August, where we're going to be doing the synthetic and turf rallies, finalizing in August with a invite-only ultimate rally. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. The examples for a tournament setup, you can see here, it takes 4 days to get through all of, say, the juvenile tracks. We'll run the 2s through 5s all in day 1. And then day 2, 3, 4, we'll have additional tracks ending on day 4. For this particular event, we are going to start the tournaments on May 21st. That's a Tuesday, and it will run through that Friday, so 4 days later. The next week will be the veteran horses. It will start on that Tuesday, the 28th, and end on May 31st. That way we wrap it up all in 1 month. That schedule, obviously, like I said, repeats for the veterans. We don't need to talk about tiebreakers. You guys can read about that if you want. And then I just wanted to point out that the Ultimate Rally is going to be using a slightly different format. It's actually something we've been working with Christie's through zkRace to set up what's called a carryover time ranking. And essentially, this will allow us to take all of the tracks in a particular hippodrome. In this case, let's say Greenfield on day 1. You'd be able to take your time from the 2 furlong, add it to the 3, add it to the 4, all the way up to the 8, get your total combined time, and then rank those. That means that for the Ultimate Rally, we're going to have a slightly different leaderboard with 6 different point scoring opportunities. But there'll be more information on that as we approach August. We don't need to dive into that too much there. But I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about prizes, because we are committing to making sure that in each of the monthly tournaments, or events, in this case, the Dirt Rally, what we're starting with in May, we're committing to making sure there's 4,500 plus dirt being given out. We're also committing to making sure that the baseline for the Ultimate Rally is 5,000 dirt or more. Obviously, the more registrations we have, the more we can add to that pot. But to start, we're committing to making sure that in each of the first 3 months, there's 4,500 plus given out, and in that final one, 5,000 plus given out. And then I'll let you talk about the really exciting part that we decided to try to dive into.
Yeah, we're definitely trying a lot of things. So we wanted to make this event something that would be easily repeatable. So this is seasons. So this is going to be the season 1 of the zkRacer Rally. And so there's going to be broken into each different segment of dirt, synth, and turf, as we already talked about. But there's juvenile class and veteran class, which you also know about. What we're doing differently on this one is, I want to show you this, is we are going to be minting NFTs that are going to be for the winners of each of these events. So this is going to be the card. So you can see on this one, this is the juvenile season 1. That's the dirt. The veteran looks very similar, just says veteran. You know which ones they are. Now, the goal is that the winners, or the top 12 of each of the events, are going to be invited to the Ultimate. So 72 horses are going to be competing on all 42 surfaces. I'm sorry, on all TDs. And then that is going to be for the Ultimate. So here is the Triple Crown. This is, you won all of them. Whoever wins this card, it should hopefully be something very proud to have in your collection, because this means that you had by far the strongest, fastest ZK horse in that entire season. And so after 4 months of this, whoever walks away with this is going to be walking away with a handsome prize of Dirk or Zerk, and then they're going to get these NFTs to go with. So very happy about doing that. We got to learn how to mint those. So those are going to be coming. But we've been working heavily with the animators, do all the graphics, and then everything about this in the background. So we are almost done. So as soon as we post this video, we should have everything in place, and then we'll be ready to kick this event off.
That's exactly right. So we're giving the prizes away in the individual surface rallies. There'll be monetary prizes for the top 6 horses, as well as that trophy you just mentioned for the top horse. And that's in each of the juvenile and veterans. But the top 12 from each of those separate events will be invited to the Ultimate, as you mentioned. And then finally, we're going to give out a monetary prize to the top 10 horses in the Ultimate Rally. And again, these numbers may go up depending on how many people register for the individual tournaments, because those are compiled and pooled for the prize money for the ultimate event in August. But yeah, I just want to make sure that you guys are reminded to fill out the registration form as quickly as you can. You want to get those horses registered. You can always add more as you go. And that's another point I want to make. If you decide, hey, it just started, but I want to jump in. If the registrations for the individual tournaments are still open, you can jump in. You just have to make sure that you have it registered on the jot form beforehand, so you're on the leaderboard. If you're not on the leaderboard, I can't start scoring points for you, and you can't jump in later. So you got to make sure you're on that leaderboard before we can start scoring you.
Excellent. All right, guys. So yeah, the more the people to sign up, the more we'll be able to pay out. That's great. So that way we don't eat into our own pockets to pay out. So please. And then also, if you haven't already done so, we're still trying to accumulate as many questions and discussion points for Domus so we can get that on the books. We want to do that soon. So please, if you haven't already, we've gotten quite a few so far. So don't feel like you need to repeat a question. We've already got those written down. If there's something new, add it to this video, send it to us in Discord, Twitter, who cares? Go ahead and hit us up, and we'll make sure to add it to the queue.
That's right, zkRacers Rally. Let's go.
The zkRace round where the swift are crowned. 28 tournaments, legends are found. From the rise to the set of 10 solar days. In a season of battles, the brave blaze their ways. Hear the thundering hooves, the race of the heart. Juveniles and veterans each play their parts. Legends awaken on zkRace tracks. 4 months of conquest, no time to relax. From fiery youths to the wise and the fierce, only the strong meets the fierce will pierce. Astronauts dash, veterans chase, each in a lane, each set their pace. Pursuing glory on circuits of old, testing their metal bold and cold. As the bravest emerge and the finals draw near, the ultimate tournament, the apex of cheer, where titans clash and the finest compete for the crown of glory, no retreat. Now to the climax, the greatest stage, legends vie on the final page. The best of the best, the spectacular fest, in the seasons of legends, who will be the best? So hail the legends as seasons roll, in each racer's spirit and eternal goal. Through trials and triumphs, the quest never rests. In the seasons of legends, fight who's the best.